Elon Musk's first marriage to Justine Musk began with dreams of a lifelong partnership, much like most first marriages. However, over time, Justine faced emotional neglect, a lack of empathy, and a fading sense of intimacy, even after giving birth to their 5 sons. Despite the challenges, she was willing to endure the difficulties to keep their family together. However, the final breaking point came when Elon unexpectedly informed her via text that he was engaged to British actress Talia Riley. Another significant incident further cemented her decision to part ways. What was that defining moment? And where is Justine Musk now? Join us as we delve into the events that led to her decision to divorce Elon Musk immediately after this life-altering event. During the whirlwind of her high-profile divorce from Elon Musk, Justine shared personal insights into her marriage with the billionaire entrepreneur, co-founder of PayPal, Tesla, and SpaceX. She revealed that in the spring of 2008, Elon filed for divorce, and just 6 weeks later, he messaged her to announce his engagement to a younger British actress, Talia Riley, who had relocated to Los Angeles to be with him. Talia, known for her role in the 2005 film Pride and Prejudice, was not blonde when she first met Elon, a detail Justine found refreshing, as she had struggled with Elon's repeated attempts to influence her appearance. She recounted the initial days of their romance, where Elon's relentless pursuit of her was filled with passion. But what led to their downfall? What were the key moments that ultimately unraveled their marriage? Their story began when Justine was a first-year student at Queen's University in Ontario, Canada, aspiring to become a writer. She was still recovering from the heartbreak of an older, rebellious ex-boyfriend when she met Elon. He, a year ahead of her, stood in stark contrast to her usual type, clean-cut, well-mannered, and possessing a South African accent with an upper-class background. One day, as she hurried up the steps to her dorm, Elon approached her, claiming they had met at a party, one she didn't even remember attending. In truth, he had noticed her from across the room and was determined to meet her. He invited her for ice cream, but she declined, leaving a note on her dorm door. However, Elon was not one to give up. Hours later, he found her studying in the student center and awkwardly presented her with 2 melting ice cream cones. His persistence eventually won her over, and though he pursued other women, he continued sending her roses even after transferring to Wharton. Eventually, they went out to dinner when he returned to Queens for a visit. One of their significant moments together happened in a bookstore. Justine shared her dream of having her books displayed there one day, a sentiment she had previously expressed to a friend who dismissed it. At the time, Elon's wealth seemed abstract to her, a string of zeros that didn't feel real in her world. He, on the other hand, was a numbers-driven, logical thinker, existing in a different reality, one that became more apparent as their relationship progressed. Justine later revealed that Elon was unlike her previous boyfriends, who had been drawn to her physical appearance. Instead, he admired her ambition. While others found her competitive nature off-putting, Elon embraced it, telling her they were alike in that way. After graduating, Justine moved to Japan to teach English, leading them to drift apart. However, when she returned to Canada and worked as a bartender while focusing on her writing, she confided in her sister that if Elon ever reached out again, she would give their relationship another chance. Coincidentally, he called a week later. By then, Elon had moved to Silicon Valley, living with 3 roommates in Mountain View while building his first company, Zip2. Justine started visiting him regularly, and during one of their dinners, they discussed having children. She mentioned wanting 1 or 2 kids, but Elon confidently assumed they would have many, especially since they would be able to afford nannies. Another memorable moment in their early relationship occurred when Elon took her to a bookstore and generously handed her his credit card, instructing her to buy as many books as she desired. The gesture deeply touched her. 2 years later, just before their wedding in January 2000, Elon informed Justine about a meeting with a lawyer regarding a financial agreement requested by the board of his new company. Though he reassured her that it wasn't a prenuptial agreement, it was evident that their circumstances had drastically changed. By then, Elon had sold Zip2 in 1999, earning approximately $20 million overnight. He also purchased and renovated an 1,800-square-foot condo, marking their first home together. Elon Musk's early success led to profound changes in both his personal life and relationship. After selling Zip2, he indulged in luxury, purchasing a $1 million sports car, a McLaren F1, and a small plane. Despite these extravagant acquisitions, their routine remained mostly unchanged, aside from Elon taking flying lessons. Justine later admitted that his growing wealth felt surreal and distant. Half-jokingly, she once expressed concerns that he might leave her for a supermodel, but instead, he proposed to her in a surprisingly humble manner, getting down on one knee on a street corner. Most of Elon's newfound fortune went into his next venture, X.com, which later evolved into PayPal. Around this time, the board advised him to establish a financial agreement, which was, in reality, a setup for mediation, a process Justine did not fully comprehend at the time. A few months into their marriage, she signed a postnuptial agreement, trusting Elon and believing they would never divorce. She had considered him her soulmate, a realization she had before their wedding. However, as time passed, warning signs began to emerge. At their wedding reception, Elon remarked that he was the dominant partner in their relationship. While Justine initially brushed it off, his actions later confirmed it. Raised in a male-dominated culture, Elon's competitive drive extended beyond his professional life and into their marriage. The financial imbalance between them only widened the gap, as Elon's opinions increasingly took precedence, often leaving Justine feeling insignificant. Justine often found herself reminding Elon that she was his wife, not his employee. However, Elon's response was always the same: if she had been an employee, he would have fired her. In 2002, following eBay's acquisition of PayPal, Elon's wealth skyrocketed to over $100 million. The couple had relocated to Los Angeles, and shortly thereafter, they welcomed their first child, Nevada Alexander. Tragically, the same week PayPal was sold, Nevada succumbed to sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS. The devastating loss came when Nevada, just 10 weeks old, was resuscitated but left brain dead due to a prolonged lack of oxygen. After 3 agonizing days on life support, Justine and Elon made the heartbreaking decision to let him go. In his final moments, Justine held her son in her arms as he passed away. While Justine openly mourned their loss, Elon chose silence, refusing to talk about Nevada's passing. His inability to express grief confused Justine, as he viewed emotional vulnerability as manipulative. In an attempt to move forward, Justine buried her sorrow and, within 2 months, visited an IVF clinic. The couple pressed on with plans to expand their family, welcoming twins and later triplets within the next 5 years. Despite her personal grief, Justine found success in her writing, publishing 3 novels under Penguin and Simon & Schuster. However, Nevada's death left a deep emotional scar, plunging her into a prolonged battle with depression. If not for a nanny's suggestion to seek therapy, Justine might have continued struggling in silence. Initially skeptical, she eventually embraced therapy, which allowed her to gain perspective on her life through weekly sessions. Over the years, their lives had undergone a drastic transformation. Gone were the days of sharing a modest apartment in Mountain View. Now, they lived in a sprawling 6,000-square-foot mansion in Bel Air, supported by a domestic staff of 5. Their home often felt less like a sanctuary and more like a workplace. Their high-profile lifestyle was filled with glamorous events, from black-tie fundraisers to extravagant parties attended by Hollywood elites like Paris Hilton and Leonardo DiCaprio. Their travels were equally lavish, involving private jets and luxurious getaways, even attending Larry Page's wedding on Richard Branson's private island, alongside A-list celebrities such as John Cusack and Bono. Despite the outward appearance of privilege and excitement, beneath the surface, their marriage was unraveling. Elon's workaholic tendencies left him perpetually distracted, even at home. Justine yearned for deep conversations, emotional connection, and intimacy, things that seemed increasingly unattainable as Elon remained consumed by his career. Over time, the support he once offered her writing faded, he dismissed her book deadlines and instead focused on her perceived shortcomings. Justine's sense of insignificance grew, and she began to fear the long-term impact their fractured relationship would have on their 5 young sons. But what truly intensified the strain between them? Did Justine herself contribute to the discord? The answers lay in the events that followed. In the spring of 2008, 8 years into their marriage, a car accident became a defining moment for Justine. As another vehicle collided with hers, she was struck by a startling realization. Her first thought was not about her own well-being, but about how Elon would react. In that instant, she confronted a painful truth: she had become a mere accessory in his world, a trophy wife living a life that no longer felt like her own. She barely recognized herself, from her delicate frame to the platinum blonde hair Elon had encouraged her to adopt. Despite his insistence that she should go even blonder, he never seemed to notice her growing unhappiness. Justine had drifted into a role she never desired. She had no interest in keeping a flawless home, playing hostess to high-profile guests, or conforming to the rigid beauty standards of their elite social circle. She longed for change and expressed her desire to rekindle the partnership they once had before Elon amassed his fortune. In response, Elon agreed to attend marriage counseling, but the overwhelming burden of running two major companies soon took its toll on him. After just a few sessions, he issued her an ultimatum: either their marriage was fixed immediately, or they would divorce. The very next day, Elon filed for divorce. Although initially shocked, Justine felt an unexpected sense of relief. Only then did she fully grasp the consequences of signing the postnuptial agreement 8 years earlier, a decision that had stripped her of many marital rights, including any claims to their shared wealth beyond their home. However, her legal team believed they had grounds to challenge the agreement, citing a lack of full financial disclosure, a requirement under marital fiduciary duty. This legal battle would become a pivotal moment in the dissolution of their marriage. According to a BBC documentary aired in October 2022, Justine learned of Elon's divorce filing through their therapist, a moment that permanently cemented the end of their relationship. Around the time Justine and Elon had signed the postnuptial agreement, Elon was in the midst of a major merger between X.com and Confinity, which ultimately became PayPal. This deal significantly increased the value of Elon's X.com stock by millions, more than what had been disclosed in the postnup. Whether it was a deliberate omission or an unintentional oversight, Justine's lawyers argued that it could render the contract fraudulent and, therefore, invalid. However, the mediation confidentiality clause complicated matters, making it nearly impossible to challenge the agreement. For 2 years, their case remained entangled in the California legal system. When it finally went to trial, the judge ruled in Elon's favor. However, recognizing the legal complexity, the judge certified the case for appeal, which meant the battle could continue for over a year. After their separation, Justine took bold steps toward reclaiming her identity. She cut and dyed her hair dark, a symbolic gesture of her newfound independence. She also began a new romantic relationship with a longtime acquaintance. One evening, he invited her to a reading of a play by Eve Ensler, an experience that profoundly shifted her perspective. As she observed the women in attendance, including influential figures like Oriana Huffington, she realized how vastly different this world was from the one she had inhabited during her marriage. In her previous life, women were often defined by their association with powerful men, either as wives, girlfriends, or personal assistants. As they reached their 30s, many seemed to fade into the background, their roles reduced to managing domestic affairs. But that night, surrounded by strong, ambitious women, Justine felt as though she was reclaiming her sense of self. She was no longer the woman she had been in Elon Musk's world, she was free to write her own story. Despite being estranged from Elon and communicating with him only through his assistant regarding their children, Justine does not regret their marriage. Over time, she has come to terms with her past and has embraced the freedom to shape her own future. Despite her feelings of anger, both towards Elon for making her feel replaceable and herself for believing in an illusion of a perfect marriage, Justine gradually found peace. She came to terms with the reality of their relationship and learned to see it more clearly. Yet, despite their tumultuous past, she holds deep respect for Elon, recognizing him as a brilliant and visionary figure. While their legal battle over property remained unresolved, their marriage had officially come to an end. The former couple now shares custody of their children, who are reportedly thriving. Justine feels more grounded than ever and is deeply grateful for the life experiences that have shaped her. One of the most unexpected outcomes of her divorce was her positive relationship with Elon's fiancée, Talia Riley. While some found it unusual that Justine harbored no resentment toward Talia, the two women instead became friends. Justine reached out to her, expressing her desire to handle the situation with grace and avoid unnecessary conflict. Talia agreed, and over time, their friendship flourished. Unlike Justine, Talia seemed to be a better fit for Elon's fast-paced lifestyle. Although she had dark hair when they first met, she soon became even blonder than Justine ever had been, seemingly conforming to Elon's preferences. Today, Justine has built a fulfilling life of her own. She is a successful author with several published novels and resides in Los Angeles with her 5 sons and 2 dogs. Meanwhile, Elon's second marriage to British actress Talia Riley followed shortly after his divorce from Justine. They tied the knot in 2010, and their relationship quickly attracted public attention. Initially, they seemed happy together, sharing mutual interests in technology and innovation. However, as time passed, the differences in their lifestyles and ambitions created a rift between them. Just 2 years later, in 2012, they decided to part ways, marking Elon's second divorce. Despite the separation, Elon and Talia attempted to rekindle their romance and remarried in 2013. However, the second attempt at their marriage did not resolve the fundamental issues between them. Over time, they realized that their differences were too significant to overcome. In 2016, they officially ended their relationship for good. The challenges of maintaining a high-profile marriage, combined with the weight of their personal ambitions, made it clear that they were better off apart. Ultimately, both Elon and Talia acknowledged that their love story had run its course. What are your thoughts on their relationship? Was their divorce inevitable? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Be sure to check out the next video on your screen, you won't want to miss it.